We just finished our very first Legacy game.
As a married couple together.
And one of my first finished Legacy games, to be honest, at all, ever. These can be hard games to table because they have to, or require you to play
with the same consistent group of people
multiple
time
sessions,
time
and time again. They change the game as you play, developing and creating a narrative, but they also make it really difficult to get back to the table if someone from your gaming group leaves or goes away. My City from Cosmos Games aims to change that conversation. Accessible, quick playing. We oftentimes knocked out 3 or 4 sessions in a single evening of gaming, and quite lovely in some unique ways, but that doesn't mean it's right for you. This is a right for you, wrong for you video series where we ask the question,
is this game right for you?
Yeah.
Or is it wrong for you?
We'll break down 7 categories of thought that we ask ourselves when deciding to add a board game to our gaming shelf. Those categories are, we'll give you an overview of the game. What does it do? What does it do differently? Talk about the theme, which is one of my favorite, most important parts. Discuss the accessibility. Talk about the gameplay. What makes it unique amongst other games? Discuss or take a quick look at the modes of play, break down the innovation, and finally, analyze the price. At the end of it all, we'll both give you our verdict as to whether or not this game was
right for you or wrong for you.
Right for us or wrong for us. With that being said, because this is a Legacy game, we're going to do our very best not to spoil anything up until the overview section of the game is done, and then we're going to talk about everything. I don't think the spoilers are spoilerly?
Yeah. I don't think so either, but just in case that is something that is distasteful to you, then just skip ahead.
I think there's one major element or moment in this game that is probably the biggest spoiler element of the game at all. We will save that for the very end of the video conversation. Everything else, I don't think really ruins or spoils the game if you learn a little bit about how it's going to develop or change. It's all very open, all very public knowledge. And we just picked up
My Island.
a copy, before we were even done,
Yeah.
a copy of My Island. We'll be playing that very soon as well. Shira, is this a sponsored video?
This is not a sponsored video.
Do we have a relationship with Cosmo Games?
We do not have a relationship with Cosmos Games.
Did we buy this game ourselves?
We did. You did.
Yeah,
You've had it for a while on
both
your
of them
shelf.
ourselves. I've been hoping to play this with you for a while. Okay, I've yelled at the camera enough.
Yes.
Shira,
Overview.
My City is a legacy game that involves tile placement in a polyomino setup. You are going to be developing your city on your board throughout 8 chapters, 24 sessions, 24 episodes, so each chapter consists of 3 episodes that are usually played together. They usually have similar sets of rules and similar sets of themes that go together, and things change more dramatically between every single chapter. So there's chapters called the churches, the factories, the mines, and these are going to change how your board is developed and what it looks like. You're going to be adding stickers to your game, and you're going to be having different scoring objectives. At the end of the game, your aim is to score more points than your competition. Whoever scores more points is going to get pips on the top of their board. Whoever has the most pips at the end of the entire Legacy game will win that saga of Legacy game.
Yeah, so some of the big things to keep in mind when deciding whether or not this game is going to be right for you or wrong for you. Do you like polyomino games? Are you willing to play a simple kind of approachable polyomino game that changes the way you score from every 3 sessions or so? And
are you committed to 24 games of the same? Pretty much, it feels very similar. Are you committed to 24 games of a very similar game?
Yeah, if you check off all those boxes, if polyomino is kind of your jam and a quick-playing little Legacy-style game sounds perfect for you and your partner,
then this might be right for you.
It might be. It very well could be. Shira, let's talk about the theme.
I'll start with the flavor text, and then you can talk about the theme because this is your section. After a long journey, you have finally arrived in a new land. You immediately start building and developing your city. My City is a Legacy game. That was the only little sentence of flavor text.
So I'm going to be honest, the theme of this game has about as much depth as that section of flavor text. It's not overly thematic. Yeah, you're placing down little city squares to build out the area. The stories and chapters do actually have fun little developments. Now, this is where spoilers start coming in. Like, for instance, being able to cover up the forest and tear down areas because the lumber yard has showed up. Being able to connect the river and the dock and harbor to the railroad because now you're transporting goods and getting more resources. Being able to mine mine.
For gold, down these mine shafts are
Yeah.
going to come out in the middle of the game. You're going to be having different scoring objectives based on the type of buildings. So then there's churches, there's industrial factories, there's going to be housing, and things that want to be next to other things
And
in various
as much
episodes.
as I want to tell you that this game is rich and packed to the brim with theme, and I felt like every time I was sitting down to play, I was building my city, I really didn't feel like I was. I mean, part of the nature of the game is that you wipe your board and then start again from a green pasture. So in no way was I actually developing or constructing my city. I was building a brand new one on the same landscape each time I sat down to play.
Yeah, I would say that I was building my field.
Yeah.
I was building my field.
I was expecting, honestly, when I saw the title of the title of the game and the way that it seemed to present itself, that I would actually be developing the board itself and creating these pieces of architecture and these pieces of buildings that are established around the site, and that the consequence of where I built would play on from game to game. That isn't quite the case, but it also isn't entirely not the case. So if theme isn't the most important thing to you, and you like a little bit of flavor text without too much richness, and narrative immersion doesn't have to be perfect, this game, it still might be
right for you.
It still
there
it
still
might be right
is
for you.
a decent more bit of flavor text as you open. This is where there's going to be more spoilers because I'm showing some of the chapter sheets. Every single chapter starts with some storyline, and then it tells you how those new mechanics are going to implement in that storyline.
But they're all mechanical.
Yeah.
They're all mechanical. And we're going to be moving on to accessibility. How accessible is this game?
This is rated a 1.99 on BGG, which in terms of weight and heaviness, that's on the family-oriented, lighter side of games.
I would feel comfortable playing this game with just about anyone. Now, for you to win, I think you actually have to be fairly competitive.
Yes, but it's very easy to bring in new players to the game. It is a very easy teach. The rules start out simple in the beginning, as most legacy games do, and then they build on top and add more nuances and complexities in how you're building your board, but the same fundamental rules are going to remain the same.
And it continually removes rules and scoring objectives in favor of new ones it's introduced, meaning that it never gets overly complex with the amount of things you're counting or being mindful of as you build. The biggest hindrance towards accessibility in this game would have to be spatial awareness. If you're not very good at spatial awareness, that might be a bit of a problem, but all the artwork, all the graphics, all the icons, all the shapes, they're unique, they stand out. It should be easy for anyone who wants to get it to the table to be able to pull it off and set it down. So, as far as accessibility goes...
It's right for you. It might be right for you. It's accessible.
You didn't add any context. As far as accessibility goes, if you're looking for a game that can be played with just about anyone, while having a bit of a competitive twist if you're playing with higher level polyomino-style players...
This might be right for you.
It might be right for you,
I got
Shira.
that line down ready.
Let's move on to gameplay. Not how to play, but specifically what makes this game unique to you. And right for you or wrong for you.
I don't necessarily think that they're inventing the wheel with anything that they're doing. It is a polyomino puzzle. You're going to have buildings of different types that want to be together and close to different things or away from different things. You're going to be wanting to cover up rocks and show your trees because rocks are negative points and trees are positive points. And you will sometimes have to build along the river. Sometimes you're going to have to build next to a palace. You're going to have to be building next to different things and being restricted in your tile placement. There's a tile that never gets used. And so I don't necessarily think that it's anything relatively unique or innovative, but the summation of it all is a very pleasant game.
So we're not talking about innovation specifically, we're talking more about gameplay and gameplay mechanics. Are there any mechanics that stand out to you specifically?
Tiling, polyomino placement.
Yeah, you just enjoy that?
Yeah,
overall.
I enjoy that spatial puzzle.
I did like how they changed the script in areas on how the polyomino structure had to happen. Originally, you wanted to build all the tiles of the similar color next to each other. Then it develops to where you want to actually build them apart from each other in a way, or it doesn't matter the color that they are. They want to be around churches of varying colors. And then you want to build them all connected, but in a line because you want to connect them to the mines, but you have a very short entrance to where the mines are, this little mountain area here. So it kept me thinking about how I wanted to approach polyomino placement quite a bit throughout the course of the game. And I did appreciate that. Other than that, it's a bit samey. You know, you felt like the gameplay got a little repetitive at a certain point.
Yeah, I definitely feel like by game 18 and 19, I was getting to my end of it, and it only lasts for 24 games, so that was a good thing. But I just noticed my enthusiasm start to trail off, and I wanted to bring it out to the table less and less frequently.
And I was
but
enjoying
I did want to finish it.
Being so close to the end of a legacy game with Shira that I kept asking to actually get it down to the table. So, as far as gameplay goes, it kind of is what it is. Unique and fun polyomino-style placement that changes the script as you play, but can certainly start to feel very similar as the game goes on. It doesn't overstay its welcome, it isn't overly complex, but if that's not your bid, it's not going to be right for you.
I do think, though, that one of the other mechanics we didn't talk about is that you're going to be flipping over the cards, and everyone's going to be playing simultaneously. So you're not waiting for other players to take their turn unless they have too much analysis paralysis, which I do enjoy that simultaneous play component.
Modes of play. What are the various ways you can play this game?
Competitive, 2 to 4 players.
And
competitive, 2 to 4 players.
And
competitive, 2 to 4 players.
At the very end of the game, there will be a
way to replay the game.
I would like to keep playing, but no one's going to use that. It's a nice thing that people require game companies to include. But how often do you actually
After you've played 24 games of this, pretty much the same game, are you really going to be ringing it out?
That's the question. Do you think 2-player that we played is different, better, worse than 3 or 4-player?
I think 2-player is good, but I think 4-player would probably be best.
Why do you think? Because there isn't that much competition. There's competition for a few scoring locations.
There are competition in every single episode. There's something that you are racing your fellow opponents to beat.
I hear.
There is something that you're always racing to beat, whether it's connecting your castle to the railroad tracks, or whether you're connecting a mine, or whether you're reaching the gold and gold rushing. There is some competition, and friendly competition. There's also, when you have more players will get rewards, and more players will not get rewards, and so there's more rewards at play.
I feel like the game gives more to higher player counts. I feel like it's intended to be played probably at 3 or 4 players, because the scoring objectives actually had a substitute for 2 players.
Yeah.
I, however, don't think I'd want to play this with more players that much. There were already times
I don't think
where
it's going to slow it down, though.
There were already times where we were waiting for each other to go ahead and play a card, and we were kind of just ready to go, especially when both of us were pausing and kind of figuring out where pieces were going to go over the next 3 or 4 tile placements. Yeah. That, with a table full of people, one person could be a major hindrance to ever finishing the game.
If they have a lot of analysis paralysis. But
even a little bit is enough in this game, because it's so simple that if you're on a different level even slightly from another player, you're in trouble.
I hear. I think I would have wanted to try it out at 3 or 4 players. But it definitely is a really good game at 2 players.
Yeah, I felt very, very happy with it at 2 players. The right group of 3 or 4 players, possibly, but I'm not running out to play it again. I probably won't ever play this at 3 or 4 players, but...
What about My Island? Like, does it make you think about, like, finding a 4-player group for My Island?
Makes me extremely confident in playing My Island just with you. So, modes of play. If you're looking for a 2 to 4 player game that plays quickly and efficiently, with the note that a little bit of AP could really slow it down for you because it's such a simple game to table, and you want that classic legacy game that gives you a big old game at the end of it,
this might be right for you.
No. If you're looking for a game to finish after the game's over, it's not right for you. It's fine.
There's other polyomino puzzle games and visual awareness games that you can find.
It's fine. Innovation. Sure, you already talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, I already talked about it. Like I said, I don't think they're inventing the wheel. I do think that in every single color section, there's 3 of the same shape in each of the 3, in like each color. But in the same color in all the yellows, there's not an identical shape. And so I like the shapes component. I like the flipping over mechanism. There's a card in here that will take away a tile, which came in clutch a couple times when you were really looking forward to playing a certain tile, and all of a sudden the game was like, funny, you're not going to be able to play that tile. So
not going to find it.
There it is. There it is. You remove the next card in the deck. No matter what it is, you just are ineligible to play that piece.
I think the only thing that might be more innovative than not in this game is the nature of it being a very quick-playing Legacy-style game.
Okay.
I like that. You don't see a lot of those. We have a few that we're getting in, but a lot of the Legacy-style games actually are larger campaign-style things, as opposed to little bite-sized things. Even Charterstone is a beefier game than what this takes to play.
Yeah.
And that's one of the bigger comparisons that like pops into my mind. We do have other games coming out, like Sagrada Legacy. We have Railroad Legacy coming out soon. You have Clank Legacy. But I think that this one stands on its own in that maybe 20-minute playtime
for each episode.
So
which
is
chapter
very
would
nice.
take like about an hour.
So if you're looking for a game that isn't innovative but might be unique in your collection, then My City
might be right for you.
Might be right for you. Let's talk about price and then tell them our verdict.
price. So I just looked this up. It's right now $28 on Amazon. I believe the original price is $35 with a $7 discount. It ranges anywhere online between that $20 to $35 range. Through various distributors.
Yeah, that is a cost of $1 per game.
Basically $1 per game, yep.
You know, that's one movie ticket worth of board game.
Yeah.
One popcorn bucket worth of board game.
I think with the amount of content that you get out of it, the amount of playtime experience and enjoyable and like quality time that you get to spend with a significant person in your life, I think it is very well worth that $28.
I'd pay $20 to have fun with my wife for, you know, what is that?
8-10 hours?
Like 10, 12 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a really solid experience. I was looking forward to coming home. It was really easy to table. And so $20 is a steal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't even know how you can get this game down that low. Not because it isn't, you know, just cardboard and paper and stuff, but because it's
box
got
size.
It's a bigger box size. It's got a lot of design in it. So, you know, really, really aggressive there.
But the amount of people that can come to it can drive the price lower. If they're selling a whole bunch of product, then it can bring the price down.
Yep. And it doesn't relive its welcome. I mean, our copy of our game is going to be over. So, our final verdict, was this game
right for you?
Right for us or not? Let's go ahead and show our maps. This is what the game actually ends up looking like when it's all said and done. I did win by 1 point.
Yes, by 1 point. However, I actually won more games in our series. Out of 24 games, I won 15 and Jesse won 9.
But I did the thematic.
He did the thematic elements, but he was always going after his gold, and that gives like 4 extra pips. He was also going with the railroad. He stole all the gold and all the pips down here as well.
So I got 6 extra pips just from the gold mechanic on the game, plus extra pips for having the most trees and the fewest rocks.
Yeah, at the end of the game, you score for your cumulative board, everything you have developed up until this point. I will say that the last chapter of the game...
This is the biggest spoiler that is in this video.
The last chapter of the game changes everything the most dramatically, in my opinion.
A really feel-bad moment, in my opinion, was the fact that at the very, very last game, you can no longer build on trees at all.
Wait. So
look at my board.
In Chapter 8, the last 3 episodes 22, 23, and 24, 22 and 23, you're having the opportunity to build parks.
So I did so good.
You're going to be placing out buildings in a way that it encloses a single area, and then you're going to put down a tree.
I pimpled my whole board with trees.
And so for 2 games, you have this where you're just putting out trees, and Jesse loved trees. Then episode 24... you have the one restriction: you cannot build on a single tree.
My game ended
and for
in
Jesse,
like
that was
6
devastating.
tiles.
Yeah, I played the last 2/3 of that game just putting out tiles because I had less trees on my board. But for that end game scoring condition, that meant that he had more trees.
Keep this in mind. I still won the overall arching game. But I really did feel like it was a funny ending to the game, but it wasn't a satisfying ending to the game.
You were just so restricted with your tree placements. In the beginning, you also, like in our first 1, 2, and 3 games, like episodes 1, 2, and 3, you were losing the polyomino puzzle spatial organization and getting more trees.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, you were always having a little bit more trees than I was. Yeah. Not covering them up as much.
Yeah, so our final verdict was my city right for us?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think it was. I think it was an accessible legacy game that gave us a good time together. I enjoyed playing with you. I enjoyed that feeling of accomplishment. I accomplished a legacy game with my husband. And so I do think it was right for us. I have no desire necessarily to play that replayable version on the back. No. And I also will give the caveat that I'm not really looking to dive into my island anytime soon.
That's the thing that was a hook for me, is immediately after we finished this, I said,
let's start playing my island.
Let's go start playing my island. Here's the thing. I don't know that my city was right for me. I will say this.
Really?
Legacy games are right for me.
Yeah.
You know, playing a game with my wife is right for me. Playing a small box, quick playing game that gives me a story is right for me.
So what did it not have that you were looking for? Thematic elements?
No, it's one of those things where I think I like this game in and of itself, outside of the legacy nature of it.
Yeah.
I thought was fine. I'd rather play Sagrada with you. I'd rather play any of these other little polyomino
I'd rather play Baron
games.
Park. I'd rather play Penny Parks. I'd rather play a lot of other
There's so many other polyomino games that I enjoy so much more than I enjoyed my city. And yet at the same time, the nature of it being a legacy game where I felt like we were moving forward, where we were accomplishing something together, the overarching story of the game, I really enjoyed. And so, legacy games are right for me.
Yeah.
I don't know that My City is, though.
Do you regret playing?
Not at all.
Would you, like, if you had known all the information you know now, would you still go into playing the game?
Yeah, because I had so much fun with you.
Right. So...
That's the hard thing, right? It's a judgment of the game versus the experience I had playing the game. And is the game the cause of that experience?
Yeah.
Or is my island going to be better or different? When we sit down and play another legacy game, like when we get Sagrada Legacy, maybe that's going to blow our mind in both gameplay and couple time.
I'm excited to actually get into Clink Legacy. It is one of the more famous ones. We have tried some Pandemic Legacies. They are not up our alley. I get mid-game and I'm just done with it.
Yeah, that's one of those that didn't work.
Before we get including in our final verdict some comparable games. So there's My Island by Cosmos Games. This is going to be a very comparable game. It's going to be another legacy game, but you're building an island instead of a city. There's also going to be other legacy games if that's the genre you're looking for. There's Clink Legacy. There's Pandemic Legacy Season 0, 1, and 2. In the family weight style genre, there's going to be Sagrada Artisans is going to be a legacy game. There's going to be a Ticket to Ride legacy game coming out soon. There's a lot more legacy games out there. And if Polyomino is your jam, we mentioned Barron Park, we mentioned Tenpenny Parks, we mentioned Project L.
I wonder if you and I would enjoy Pandemic together more as a couple's game.
I lived through a pandemic, honestly. I don't need to be playing through a pandemic. I lived through one, and we lived through one.
You reminded me that there's a legacy game out there.
I work in a hospital. The mechanics kept bothering me. I'm mechanics first, and so the mechanics in here, the polyomino spatial puzzle is always rewarding for me, even if it does start to feel
Pandemic's a little random.
Pandemic is you have a hand of cards and you're trying to stop disease spreading from throughout the world, and it was more abstract and less mechanic and more theme. You might like it because it has a heavier theme, but I started playing Clink Legacy and I never finished it. I was enjoying Clink Legacy and the mechanics of it.
We'll have to do that together. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Let us know in the comment section down below, is this right for you?
Have you played it?
Wrong for you. Are you going to go back it and order it immediately?
It's already straight.
Buy it off Kickstarter? I don't know what the kids do these days. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do,
remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games.
See you next time.